quarterly employment statistics are set to be released today. There are questions on whether South Africa is creating the right kind of jobs, considering the skills that are produced by institutions of higher learning. For more on this, let's bring in Dr. Asghar Adelzadeh from the Economic Modeling Academy. The good doctor joins us via our video link this morning. Great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks so much indeed for making time to speak to us. And we've spoken about the skills mismatch in this country for quite some time when it comes to us identifying the sectors that are labor intensive, that could absorb labor, versus what we're preparing people for at higher institutions or institutions of higher learning.
Well, thank you for your invitation and good morning to your viewers. Well, just taking a step back in terms of giving a context to the skill demand and where it comes from and its composition. The current and future demands for skills very much depends on the economy's growth and employment outlook and on the sectoral composition of that growth, since that, has its sectors have different occupational and skill structure. Now, that means basically that is the major challenge of South Africa's in terms of skills demand and the skills supply and the level of growth that the economy is currently experiencing, and what the outlook is. That will tell us where the skill demand and supply and shortages and going and the supply from the tertiary education. If you look at, for example, the total demand in the economy, measured by the gross domestic expenditure, total spending in the economy, you find that between 2019 and 2021, the total demand in the economy declined by 167 billion rand in constant prices, in real terms. That shrinking of demand in real terms translates into decline in GDP of 80 billion during the same period, decline in total employment by more than 2 million jobs during that period, which means demand for skills and going down at the same time, the number of the sea of job seekers increasing during that period. Now, therefore, the question actually becomes, what is the outlook for growth and employment in South Africa going forward? And if you like, we can talk about that and bring that skills issues and job openings and job seekers in that context.
Let's go there. I mean, if I'm understanding you correctly, in the future, we need fewer people to carry out the kind of operations that are necessary in life. But, that's happening at a time where more people are looking for jobs for very obvious reasons. That presents quite a dilemma. How do we solve it?
Right. That is in terms of, technologies and
right.
rising productivities, all of that. Obviously, there is that demand for jobs, has the pressure, negative pressure on them. But if the size of the pie is increasing and there are newer activities and growth are happening, then on the other hand, you have positive forces coming in, and you're hoping that the net effect of it, you're striving for the net effect of it being able to absorb, mop up the rise in population and labor force. Now, if we consider Treasury's projection to 2026 for the next 5 years, the average annual economic growth will be about 1.5%, less than 2%, and the official unemployment rate will climb to 38.3%. Now, under that scenario, the annual rate of job openings will continue to be much less than the rate of growth of job seekers. We already have these more than 8 million unemployed. Now, if the unemployment keeps going up with the population growing, then the size of the pie and demand for jobs are not increasing that much. It's below 2%. Then we're going to see that not just specific jobs, but all kinds of jobs, all the skills are going to be not much in demand, and we will have a major gap between the economy rate of job openings or job opportunities that are created in various parts of the economy, and the rate of growth of job seekers, the number of people who are flowing to the market. Now, if based on the Treasury's plan, the economy generates only 1 million jobs over the next 10 years, the rest of this decade, that is that means by 2030, the unemployment rate will be way above 40%. And that's not the outlook that we are looking for, because however the outlook for growth, employment, skill demand can be different. If, for example, the economy grows at average annual of 5% and create jobs between 8 to 10 million, that means the skills demand will be much higher. It will mop up the unemployment rate, the sea of unemployment that we have. Now, this is not a pie in the sky. We have developed policy scenarios, use economic modeling to simulate this, and to find out the possibility of generating 8 to 10 million jobs, and therefore bring the unemployment rate, instead of going up, to about 12%. But that poses a challenge,
right,
policy challenges for the government. You cannot do the business as usual and expect high unemployment and high demand for skills and growth, high growth. So that is facing the government in terms of continue doing the business as usual, monetary policies, in your fiscal policies, in other policies, or you consider what if scenarios and looking at these tools and see what else can be done, because this current outlook, that is the official actually outlook, doesn't look good. Doesn't get enough jobs and growth.
Scary that it's an outlook from the very government whose task it is to try to fix this problem. But very simply put, essentially our economy is not going to grow at a rate fast enough in order for us to create enough jobs in the future. In fact, if we carry on at this rate, there'll be more unemployment ahead. So does that mean that the discussion around the skills mismatch being a university problem is slightly misplaced, given what you pointed out, which is more of a policy challenge?
You put your finger on the very right, issue. It is not there are supply issues, supply from the tertiary sector. But the major problem in South Africa is the rate of job openings, opportunities. The economy is not creating enough job opportunities in order to absorb the high unemployment that we have. So it's not a lot of, in my view, that in the past, too much focus has been put on the supply side of the economy, of the supply of what is coming out of the tertiary education and other parts of the education sector. Now, and the demand side of the economy has very much neglected. And in that sense, that's why we see that the economy is struggling. And you have interest rate going up, which is going to shrink the economy more. You have austerity scenarios in the fiscal side, which is also going to shrink the economy. So on the one hand, you have these negative effects on the economic growth coming from some of these policy initiatives, which will mean employment, less employment, or as they have actually projected, unemployment rate going up to 38.3%. So in that kind of scenario, that kind of policy, those policy choices will give us, basically, we may come out and reach the 2019 output and employment, but the trajectory going forward will be also that low growth, low employment that was going on before the pandemic.
Yeah. Of course, Doc, it's not just about creating job opportunities. Those jobs need to be sustainable, but arguably many people will say it's important for those jobs to also change the material conditions of the people who occupy them. It's one thing to say that people are employed, but what kind of jobs are they doing? And is it enough to essentially get them through the month, to lift them from the poverty line?
This is, I think it's a very important in terms of the structure of the South African economy that has, over the past 25 years, gradually moved more and more toward financialization, and the dominance of the service sector has meant that the decline in the manufacturing sector, good jobs, union jobs, better paid, more technical and skilled jobs. And as a result of that, you have the share of employment in manufacturing sector that was 15.2% in 1995. It has declined to 9% currently. So you have a share of employment, those kind of employment that is provides maybe living wage, that are better paid jobs and as declining and more of a service sector of the economy that dominates more than 80% of the output and employment come from the service sector that are, so that's very important. And another worrisome is obviously, like, for example, in the quarterly employment statistic that was released for the quarter one of the 2022. It shows employment increases, some employment increase, but the remuneration decline in the remunerations, and that is worrisome. That if there is a, even if you see, when you see a positive increase in employment, if it is not accompanied with better increase in income,
right,
that is also not helping the employed.
In fact, we're told that that kind of situation could lead to more social unrest. We're already being told to brace for more kind of strikes within the public sector. Doc, thanks very much indeed for your time. Really do appreciate your insights as we try and make sense of these numbers. Dr. Asghar Adelzadeh is with the Economic Modeling Academy. Once again, appreciate your time on the AM Report.